Hey guys, Fire here from InDepth Gaming, bringing you another game review. This time we're Don't Fall. This game is developed by Tristan Dahl and Studio Huckerpack, and published by Sometimes You, and releases on September 28th, 2022, for a price of $9.99. If you're watching this before release, you can save $2, and maybe the game will be on sale for $8. And the game is available as an Xbox Series SX version and a regular Xbox version. So there are two versions of this game. I'm currently playing the Xbox Series SX version. I've been playing the regular Xbox One version, so that's why you don't see a continue campaign section. But this game's actually a pretty simple game. It's kind of defined as an action game, but it's kind of more like a simulation have a heart attack style game where it's pretty basic. You play as a rock climber, and you'll go through various worlds or mountains with different levels of difficulty as you progress through them, basically just trying to rock climb. It's a pretty simplistic and basic game where your goal is to just use your two hands, which are controlled by your left bumper and right bumper, to get all the way to the top of your climb without falling like I did here. And you have to do that in one go. Now, you're seeing a little bit of a basic tutorial set up here where it just kind of teaches you the basic concepts. You're also going to be introduced with the ability to kind of lunge and hurl your climber up as you're going. I suck at playing games apparently when I'm talking, so sorry if you're having to watch me horribly fail at this game while trying to show it off. But yeah, the basic simplicity of this game is start at the base of a mountain or hill, you term it, and get all the way to the flag with your little guy. Now, the game starts off a little easy for you, but as you will start to see as we work our way through the tutorial here, the game has a little more factor in that term, as you'll be able to do various little things, whether it's, this jumping here, but also you're going to have stamina requirements as far as needing to keep your hands chalked. If you don't know, in terms of climbing, a lot of people chalk their hands, and they do that to basically better and improve their grip. And that's represented by these little chalk meters that you see on the left and right. Now, what I can do is simply put my hand back in my chalk bag, and it kind of just refreshes and pads up my hand to make climbing a little easier. If for some reason I do lose my grip, or I don't have enough chalk, I fall and then have to simply just repeat the climb that I'm working on. So you have to make sure you have a good hold strength, all while still maintaining whatever minimum standards that the game has set for you to be able to complete out those levels and then get to the top. So manage your chalk requirements. You'll also see here in just a second where it'll show me or kind of briefly talk to you about having to get your different latching points. But that's kind of the basic principle of the game. Now, when it comes to playing, after you kind of get your way through the tutorial here, that kind of a latching point mechanic gets a little easier to deal with when you're playing, as you can go into the settings and adjust some things to make the game a little easier, and I'll kind of show you that here in a second. But pretty much the gameplay experiences that you're seeing me go through the tutorial here is kind of the entire gameplay experience as a whole. You just need to manage your left and right bumpers, not losing your grip, and just climbing as high as you can until you reach the summit. The last thing you're really going to get introduced here in the tutorial is the little climbing hooks that I was kind of talking to you about. Now, the game by default, if you fall, you get reset all the way back to the very bottom, but you will be given, I was seeing if it allows me to look at that here, you'll be given some options to actually set the game up so that if you happen to kind of fall, it'll just, instead of resetting you at the bottom of the climb, it'll reset you all the way just to your most recent hook. And as far as how frustrating this game can get, I definitely recommend that as a setting that you decide to tackle and adjust in the game, as it'll make the game a little more enjoyable for you. Now, personally, from my experience playing this game, it's a fun novelty, but it also has some stressful points in the sense of every time I've played it, it seems to reset the game entirely back to the very beginning climb if I don't, just play the game one whole chunk of the way through. So it doesn't seem like it holds your progress very well, and it resets you all the way back to this bare basic climbing point. It kind of sucks to lose all your progress and have to climb back through a ton of different climbs if you just needed one more to finish out your last achievement. Which, it's kind of how the game does it. but it's unfortunate the way it is. Um, what I do like with the game is intermittently between the different climbs, you do get these opportunities to see some cutscenes. There's not really much into it otherwise than the story you create, but it's a nice little touch to the game that adds a little bit to it. Now, the effects I was talking about when you are playing the game is go in here, turn off permadeath, and turn on restart from last bolt. That's going to make your life so much easier in the sense of you just need to make it from climbing bolt to climbing bolt instead of starting over from the bare bones on your climbs all the way down from the bottom and just having to get frustrated. So it kind of makes the need for dealing with chalking become a little less, as instead of having to chalk at every point, you can simply just hit a point here, fall off, and then kind of reset your stats as far as your stamina with your hands. And it makes the game, a little bit easier if you're struggling. Nonetheless, I don't think the game's too difficult off the bat. But that is a thing in a way you can make the game a little more tolerable if you are finding yourself in a point where you're struggling with this game, or are just hoping to end it and finish it quick. And you don't have to always, as you can see here, hit every checkpoint as far as the connecting points in the rock. If you can simply just get to the end, you can finish the game up and then progress from there. And that's kind of, this is kind of the game. There's not a lot more to talk about. I would, have thought that this game could have done a little more, and who knows, maybe the developer might listen to a little bit of my feedback. But I think a multiplayer mode to this game where maybe you're trying to climb against your friends, and race to the top and, get to the top of those summits would definitely be a really fun and enjoyable experience, and maybe a way to add a multiplayer component slash aspect to this game. But it depends really ultimately how much effort the developer wants to put into their project. As far as the game itself, I enjoy the game, but it's a little bit more of a novelty for me, especially at a $10 price point. I think it's a little steep for what the game is offering here, and really what you're getting for your money. Um, I'm sure you're going to get a lot of people who will buy this game as an achievement game, but as far as just a game to buy and play, I think just the frustrations and experiences you'll have with, the left bumper, right bumper not seeming to want to connect and catch will greatly outweigh your joy of wanting to sit and play and dig into this game for more of a long-term experience, which is, kind of my overall take on this game. It's not that it's a bad game, it's not that it's horrible by any means, but, I think it would have been a much better, $3-4 pickup than a game that's wanting you to pay $10 on the same platform for two different versions. I would think that selling the game for $4 and $4 for each version, if you want to go up both versions, would be a much better kind of layout to you. But if you want to grind the achievement wise, that's your prerogative. That's just kind of my take on the game. The visuals are fine. There's nothing too overly fancy. The soundtrack, there's nothing too overly fancy. The game does pick up with some different changing environments as far as like how the mountains and stuff change. Reducing your connecting points and introducing some world obstacles. But outside of that, it's for me, it's a pretty lackluster experience and something that doesn't offer something that's super replayability. As once I've played through it, and even my frustrations, which may just be on my end, but still, this is my thoughts on the game. As far as the game just not allowing me to sign off a different time and come back later and continuing my progress, that seems to make me have to redo my climbs every time. Maybe the developers will reach out and let me know. But outside of that, though, that's my thoughts. As far as an opinion of buy, sell, pass, I'm going to have to recommend you probably pass on this game. I don't say pass too many on a lot of games, just because, I enjoy a lot of different games and, love the different variety that usually is out there for us. But I just don't really think that this game is a game that is going to have gamers getting too overly excited for, and it have a whole lot to offer outside of the same kind of repetitive content that's presented with it right off the bat. But yeah, nonetheless, that's my thoughts. If you have any opinions, want to know more, or if you have to let me know. And if you haven't already considered subscribing to the channel, I hope you have a great rest of your day, and we'll catch you next time here on InDepth Gaming. Potatoes. And now I fall.